Friday mailbag starts with the BYU Cougars. This is a new thing I'm going to do. A lot of BYU fans got in on this. A little caveat here. If you're a BYU fan, thank you. If you're someone who's not a BYU fan, step up your game. Jacob says, my biggest concern as a BYU fan right now is if Kansas fans are meanies. My brother-in-law got cussed out by Coastal Carolina fans in 2020. Jacob, first and foremost, I just want to say I'm sorry to your brother. I do not condone what the Chanticleer fans did to you in 2020 and your brother by cussing him out. That was immature and terrible. And I hope you're okay. Second, I do think Kansas fans are meanies. I've seen a lot of this. The banter on Twitter between Kansas and BYU fans has been legendary. I want to commend Kansas fans. I want to commend BYU fans for making hilarious stuff this week. There was a BYU guy who drove his plane. It said, beat Kansas with the BYU logo. That was legendary. Kansas fans talking about Mormons going on mission. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, members of the LDS community going on mission, and most of them have been in good fun, have been kind-hearted memes they send, BYU, of course, they have a leg up. They got a bunch of 24-year-olds out there who went on mission. I think those are spectacular. A lot of what they've done has been in good, positive jest. So do want to say, Jacob, thank you for tuning in here, that I am very excited with this new little fun rivalry that BYU and Kansas have struck up on social media. Nick Lee says, biased as a BYU fan, but I think people are sleeping on Kedon Slovis. It's clear that it was bad Pitt and not him last year. BYU seems to be getting more the USC version. While stats are not eye-popping, he made elite throws against Arkansas. Poised, where does he rank among Big 12 QBs? Poised is the right word here. Now, while he made some eye-popping throws, there were also some who were like, oh, Kedon, right? 12 incompletions to 13 completions is not elite. I don't think Kedon Slovis is an elite quarterback. However, I do want to say he's not USC Kedon Slovis. You're not making that case, I know. He's not USC Kedon Slovis, and he's not Pitt Kedon Slovis. He's BYU Kedon Slovis. Let's change this narrative here. Good quarterback. Elite quarterback, no. Top 5 quarterback in the Big 12, yes. Because you look around the league and you see a lot of teams that don't have a good quarterback. Texas Tech right now, no proven good quarterback. Not this season. Baylor, no. Houston, no. Oklahoma State, of course not. And those are power teams that are supposed to win. A couple of them at least. So Kedon Slovis, top 5, without a doubt. A couple of texts in here. You can text the show anytime you want. 254-300-7617. 254-300-7617. That's my number. Just text my number. I don't care. I'm not to be hotshot here. 254-300-7617. Love this one from Scotty B. the Baylor King. Concern is for the Big 12 in traveling terms of miles to be divided nearly even or exactly even, not just in terms of football or basketball, but all sports that play each other on campus in terms of scheduling conference games. Important to be fair to all teams. Great point. One thing that we overlook, and thank you, Scotty, for texting. One thing we overlook in this whole deal is how teams, like cross-country teams, will travel through expansion. Because that's a point that we haven't brought up, and one that we talk about mental health all the time. We've got a kid that never goes to class because their cross-country team is traveling across the country all the time. Their tennis team's traveling across the country all the time. How do we divvy up the miles for these programs? How do we put it together where it's fair for every team in the Big 12? Because it's going to be different for West Virginia and the Arizona schools or Utah than it is for a Texas Tech. I mean, Texas Tech, you have Oklahoma State, which is fairly close. TCU, close enough, I guess. Baylor and Houston are at least within your same state, but it's still a good distance. And then they're pretty close to Utah and Arizona State. Tech kind of lucks out in this whole deal. Then there's UCF. What is UCF close to? If you were a student athlete at UCF, I got a couple of friends who are baseball players down in Orlando. If you're a baseball player there, you've accepted that going to the Big 12, going to UCF means a whole lot of travel for you and your family, and you're going to have less opportunities to play in front of your family. Unless your family wants to travel all around the country with you, this is going to be tough expansion of the new Big 12 for the student athlete. The burden is heavy. The load is heavy to travel in this conference now, as it has been for a while in a couple different conferences, especially as things have moved to be less regional. Good for the SEC. They kind of get to keep that. But at the same time, Florida traveling to Texas, that's the same as Orlando traveling, UCF traveling to play Baylor. That happens. I just hope we don't have UCF playing road games against Utah, BYU, Arizona State, and Texas Tech all in one season. That would suck. Thanks, Scotty. Good text. This one says, you're the man. It's from Scott Taylor in Chandler, Arizona. Thank you, Scott. Loves the Big 12 podcast. Hold his non-alcoholic beer. And he likes that I cover BYU. You're welcome. He also is spreading word about the show. Sent a fun picture of him and what I think is his family as well, which is very nice. I enjoy this. There was not a question here. Scott was just saying, good job. I like your podcast. Scott, makes my day really happy. Good to have you here, Scott. From Chandler, Arizona. It's one of our big listener points is over there in Arizona. This one, last one here, last text. Well, Mr. Drake. Never been called Mr. This is big. The Cougars are excited to have you in Provo next week. And that's right. We're a week away from me being in Provo, Utah, BYU, Cincinnati. We appreciate the love. My question for the podcast is, as of today, who do you see playing in the Big 12 championship game? Is there any chance it's not Texas and OU? I can guarantee you, anonymous caller, it will not be Texas and OU. That will not be the Big 12 championship game. No, sir. It will not. I don't think OU gets there. At this point, I would be an idiot to say that Texas doesn't. Do I believe my heart of hearts? Could I bet $1 million right now, $100, $10 right now that Texas will make the Big 12 championship? The answer is no. The answer is absolutely no. There's still a good part of me that thinks they're going to find a way to screw this up. I can't believe it till I see it done because they haven't done it yet. Every year there's Texas is back. Even through a few games, we say Texas is back. Remember that year they beat Notre Dame? Oh, Texas is back. Here they go. They haven't been. That was Charlie Strong era. So I don't believe it yet. I need to see them in Arlington, close to Arlington, to be like, okay, all right, fine. This is real. This is me. This is happening in front of me. Otherwise, I struggle to predict it. They're the best roster in the Big 12. And I will predict it. I mean, I will. I reluctantly, okay, fine. But in my heart of hearts, I just feel like they're going to find a way to screw it up. Right now, I do have Texas in the Big 12 championship. But on the road, beat Alabama. Now, Oklahoma won't make it. Kansas State will. The Wildcats get it done. I still have so much faith in Chris Kleiman. I have so much faith in Will Howard. And I understand that they struggled in a loss to Missouri. Road game, SEC. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. Kansas State, Texas. Big 12 championship. That's what I have right now. They're still undefeated in Big 12 play. Both teams are. That probably stays the same after this weekend as well, I would assume. UCF's a tough game. I think they'll struggle. Texas shouldn't struggle with Baylor. But in all here, Oklahoma does not make it. Anonymous texter. Texas probably does. This has been, it always will be. I'll see you on Saturday or Sunday or whenever I do a podcast next because we got a big weekend coming up. It's awesome. Big 12 plays here. Unlocked. On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. You know what's coming next. Say it with me. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Doce Grande.